So, this HOA president literally kicks down my cabin door right when I'm having a beer with the state's attorney general. She just committed 6 felonies in front of the one person in America who could throw her ass in prison. I'm talking full on with splintering designer heels clicking on broken glass, the whole 9 yards. This woman in her 1000 blazer, reeking of that aggressive perfume that probably costs more than my truck payment, storms into my grandfather's cabin, screaming about violations and jurisdiction like she owns the place. Zero clue who she just barged in on. Zero clue she's live streaming her own arrest warrant to 3,000 followers. 6 months earlier, I thought Karen was just your typical power-drunk neighbor. Turns out she was running a $4 million embezzlement scheme and I was about to accidentally burn her entire criminal empire to the ground. What would you do if some HOA psychopath invaded your private property during the most important meeting of your life? Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. I guarantee half of you have dealt with these neighborhood dictators before. Let me back up and tell you how this whole nightmare started. My name is Marcus Henley. I'm 52 and after 30 years installing power grids across 3 counties, I'd finally earned my retirement at my grandfather's fishing cabin on Clearwater Lake. 2 acres of pure heaven that old Pop bought in 1963 for $800. This wasn't some fancy McMansion. We're talking hand-hewn logs, a stone fireplace Pop built himself, and a screen porch that creaked in all the right places. I'd kept it completely off-grid. Solar panels humming quietly while water that tasted like childhood memories and a septic system that worked better than most city setups. Then she showed up. Delilah Cromwell, though everyone called her that HOA psycho, rolled into our peaceful lake community like a tornado in designer clothing. 58 years old, fresh from some California subdivision where being neighborhood dictator was apparently a full-time career. She drove this pearl-white Escalade with vanity plates reading Rule 1 and wore her HOA president badge like it was a sheriff's star. The woman had one mission: transform our rustic lakefront into an upscale resort community. Here's what I didn't know. 3 elderly couples had already sold their cabins to interested buyers within 2 months of her arrival. Funny coincidence, right? Her first act of war came on a Tuesday morning. I'm drinking coffee on Pop's porch, watching loons teach their babies to dive, when I hear sharp clicking sounds on my wooden dock, designer heels. At 7 a.m. on my private property. 10 minutes later, she's taping an official-looking notice to my door. Violation citation. Unsightly dock structure damaging community property values. Fine. $500. Compliance required within 72 hours. My weathered dock, the same one Pop and I reinforced when I was 12, was apparently an eyesore threatening the neighborhood's real estate market. Being reasonable, I explained that my property predates the HOA by 40 years. You know what she said, standing in my driveway like she owned it. Everyone on this lake answers to me, sweetie, ask the Hendersons how well fighting me worked out. The Hendersons, my elderly neighbors who'd mysteriously downsized last month after 23 years here. By week's end, I had 3 more citations with escalating fines. Karen had declared war on everything my family built here. 3 days after my compliance deadline passed, a certified letter arrived from Blackstone, Meyer and Associates, one of those fancy law firms charging more per hour than I made in a month. They claimed my dock illegally extended into community waterway and demanded $3,000 in retroactive fees, threatening a property lien within 10 days. Pop always said, when someone's trying to legal talk you out of your land, the truth is in the county records. Go find the actual papers. At the courthouse, sweet clerk Betty helped me pull original property surveys. What I found made my blood boil. My grandfather's lot included 50 feet into the lake. That dock sat in the middle of my water. The deed from 1963 was crystal clear. The HOA wasn't even established until 1998. Armed with copies, I marched home feeling proud. That lasted until I found Karen's Escalade parked sideways across my driveway. Just reviewing community parking regulations, she said through a cracked window. This might take a while. Karen organized the Lakeside Beautification Committee. Basically a hit squad targeting anyone not fitting her country club vision. Her Facebook posts were passive-aggressive masterpieces about eyesore properties affecting home values. People I'd known for decades suddenly became property law experts pairing her talking points. My lawyer buddy Chuck stopped by with news that changed everything. The Attorney General's office is investigating HOA corruption statewide. Similar harassment patterns. Elderly homeowners hit with frivolous citations, property values artificially driven down, mysterious cash buyers swooping in. That night, I started logging every interaction while researching Karen's background. Her husband, Robert, wasn't just any state employee. He was Democratic Party treasurer with access to development plans, zoning changes, and political favors across multiple counties. The breakthrough came while organizing paperwork for my Attorney General meeting. Something caught my eye on Karen's violation notice. Fines payable to Lakeside Estates Community Improvement Fund, account number 847291. At the courthouse, Betty helped pull HOA financial records. The numbers didn't add up. Over 2 years, the HOA collected $280,000 for lake dock repairs never completed. Another $150,000 supposedly went to Cromwell Grounds and Maintenance, owned by Karen's brother-in-law and incorporated 3 weeks after she became president. The insurance claims were blatant fraud. 3 storm damage claims totaling $95,000 for storms that never happened. I'd lived through every weather event on this lake. This is fraud. Plain and simple, Betty whispered. Everything clicked. Karen wasn't just power drunk. She was systematically driving down property values while embezzling community funds. The elderly couples hadn't just been harassed into selling. They'd been robbed twice. The Attorney General's office assigned prosecutors Sarah Mitchell and David Bennett to my case. What you've uncovered goes beyond simple harassment, Sarah said, spreading documents across Pop's dining table. This is systematic fraud affecting dozens of families. FBI agent Rebecca Torres had been tracking development fraud regionally. My documentation was the missing piece connecting multiple investigations. But she wanted more to catch Karen actively committing crimes on camera. The best way to build an airtight case is capturing criminal behavior in real time, Torres explained. Chuck suggested the perfect setup. The Attorney General announcing new HOA reform legislation at my cabin, symbolically protecting homeowner rights where they've been violated. If Karen's pattern holds, she'll try disrupting any suspicious activity at Marcus property. Sarah noted her need for control will override common sense. We prepared a controlled confrontation scenario. Hidden recording equipment throughout my cabin, undercover officers around the lake. Multiple agencies coordinated for rapid response. Karen sensed walls closing in and went full sabotage. Solar panels mysteriously malfunctioned. Boat dock chains were cut. Someone pumped commercial drain cleaner into my septic system, costing $3,200 to repair. But Karen's biggest mistake was attacking my supporters. Jake's electrical license came under review. Retired Judge Carter faced state bar complaints. She was sending a message, help Marcus and become our next target. Her final play was audacious. Through her husband's connections, she discovered I was meeting with Attorney General Patricia Williamson herself. Instead of backing down, Karen went nuclear. Her plan, position herself as a political conspiracy victim, claiming the state's top prosecutor was targeting her family for partisan reasons. She'd broadcast the confrontation live, flipping the narrative to paint herself as a brave whistleblower. We were monitoring her communications. We knew about the live stream plan, even her talking points. She's going to commit multiple felonies on live video while confessing her motives. Torres said, we couldn't have scripted it better. Attorney General Williamson arrived exactly at 9 a.m. A down-to-earth woman in her 50s who reminded me of my old principal. Tough but fair, with eyes that missed nothing. Your documentation has helped us build cases against HOA corruption rings in 6 counties, she said, settling into Pop's recliner. This isn't just local fraud. It's part of a statewide pattern. We were discussing criminal charges when we heard Karen's Escalade roaring into my driveway. Gravel spraying everywhere. Multiple voices shouting about camera angles and audio levels. Karen had brought her entire social media crew for her moment of triumph. This is it, folks. Karen's voice carried through my windows. We're about to expose the corruption targeting our family. The Attorney General is illegally meeting with our harasser. Crash. The door exploded inward. Wood splintered everywhere. Williamson's coffee hit the floor as Karen stormed in with her phone held high, live streaming to her followers. "I demand to know why the Attorney General is secretly meeting with this man," she screamed. "This is government harassment, political persecution." The look on Karen's face when Williamson calmly displayed her official ID was priceless. Her live stream captured the exact moment her brain processed what happened. Total frozen terror. "Mrs. Cromwell," the Attorney General said in that calm tone that makes hardened criminals tremble. "I am Patricia Williamson, Attorney General of this state. You just committed multiple felonies in my presence, and your criminal performance is being recorded by both my office and your own broadcast." Karen's phone was still streaming. Her followers watched their heroic whistleblower become a babbling mess in real time. This is my community. I have jurisdiction," Karen stammered, thinking her HOA badge gave her authority over state prosecutors. "FBI agent Torres stepped through my doorway with 2 other agents. Mrs. Cromwell, you're under arrest for fraud, extortion, witness intimidation, and harassment. Thanks to your live stream, we have your confession broadcast to 3,000 witnesses." Handcuffs clicked shut like a book closing. Karen's phone clattered down, still streaming her arrest to horrified viewers. "Karen," I said, standing with a satisfied smile. "Meet the state's Attorney General. She's been wanting to discuss your bookkeeping methods." Neighbors watched in stunned silence as the woman who terrorized our community was read Miranda rights in my living room. The pearl-white Escalade with Rule 1 plates was towed as evidence. The live stream ended with Karen's voice echoing across the lake. "This isn't over. My husband will fix this." Actually, Karen, we knew exactly who we were dealing with. A criminal. And criminals go to prison. 3 months later, federal judge Michael Harrison sentenced Karen to 3 years in federal prison, $340,000 in restitution, and a lifetime ban from any HOA board. Her husband, Robert, got 18 months for conspiracy after his ethics investigation revealed he provided insider information about zoning changes. Attorney General Williamson used our case for new state legislation, the Henley Act, requiring annual HOA financial audits and creating criminal penalties for harassment-based property manipulation. Families driven from their homes came back. The Hendersons bought a new cabin 2 lots down. Property value soared once the harassment threat was removed. I'm sitting on Pop's porch now, watching sunset paint the lake gold and purple. Loons call across water, their voices echoing off hills where Pop taught me to fish 60 years ago. No more certified letters, inspection visits, or designer heels clicking on my dock. Just gentle waves against weathered wood. And knowing that sometimes, if you're stubborn and righteous enough, David really can beat Goliath. Drop a comment sharing your HOA nightmare. You're not alone. Hit subscribe for more stories about everyday people taking down corrupt systems. Thanks for hanging out with us on HOA Stories, where the HOA Karens meet their match.